morning, everybody. What the heck is that thing? 8:14. You're going to get some data in a minute here. There's me just talking. Where's my little face? Hold on. Oh boy. That's not the right one. I mean, you got to be kidding. I got to get this together. Boom. There's a lot of me coming at you in the morning. That's too much. That's way too much. How about that? Is that better? There we go. Got that going for us now. Almost. We're almost there. There you go. Boom. Now we're bonding. Who's bonding? We are. Boom. All right. Let's get to it. 8:15. You got some data coming out. Let's get rid of all these drawings. Let's pull this up and let's get to it. So very first thing we're going to want to do is just watch the reaction to this data, and we'll go from there. Let's squeeze this back down, and then we'll go from there. And we'll go from there. And okay, let's get to it. So the data is already moving the market a little bit here, and let's take a look at what it is. ADP, you were supposed to come in at 175. They changed the consensus. It was 184, and now you're at previous was 184. Now you're at 208. Now you're at 192, and the market's trying to shake it off. So let's see if they are able to actually shake it off or not. And to me, it does not look like they are going to be able to shake it off. So let's see how this goes here. What is that bar? That 8 a.m. bar? Wow, that is something. Let's take a look at what's going on here with Amazon. So my sense of Amazon, I'll just show you this. We'll start here, and we'll run through what I'll refer to as the big three, and then I'll take questions. But does this lift that up a little bit? Yeah, that does do that a little bit. Okay, good. So, yeah, I think I still have a shadow over there in the corner. Where is that shadow? Yeah, it's still there. All right, I got to get rid of that. Let's start here. So one of the things that I do a lot in the videos, and you'll see this, is, hold on one second here. I forgot to send him the charts. Well, that's not helpful. Hold on one second here, guys. Okay. There you go. All right. So one of the things that we do here is we mark when the news comes out. And what you do is you drop an anchored VWAP. This thing's super slow today. I'm going to have to figure out why. You know, I literally have the fastest Apple computer that you can get. And for some reason, it's not really fast. It's actually really slow. And it's really frustrating. So let me go into here for a second, see what I can close. I think I'm going to have to go back to the dark side and get a Windows. I really do. Like, it's crazy how slow this thing gets sometimes that I have to go and close like apps. And it's not like it's not cheap. It shouldn't be this hard. They have to run and close things so that you can work. It's kind of exhausting, isn't it? All right, let's get to it. So, okay. So what we're seeing here again with Amazon is you're unable to get through any of those levels. So my concern with Amazon would be this for people. Are you going to do the same thing Microsoft and Google did? And that would be my concern with it. So that's where my head is right now. So in other words, I mean, who sells at 350? Right? I mean, this was great earnings, increased guidance, everything firing on all cylinders. And what do you have? Absolute destruction, right? There's no other way to say it. That's just like totally destroying. I even bought more for like a long-term account of mine because the earnings are good. I have an account. I have real long-term positions. And as long as the fundamentals are there, I add to the names. But when you look at that, that's disgusting. And then you look at how you're overlaid here with the 12, 22, and 55. You should use what you're comfortable with. But what we really want to focus on more than anything here is just the fact that it didn't hold. Now, if you look at Google, hold on one second, let me show you Google. Google broke down completely. Now, if you go take a look at Google, I'm glad you asked. And let me throw this up. If we do the same thing with Google and you just go out there and you put an anchored VWAP right on that bar, when you broke out, you can see when it starts to deteriorate, right? And then the other thing I like to do too is I'll also just take the peak. And I just want to see if they're able to ever get over that peak, right? And you'll usually see that they're pretty much in line, especially that day. But anyway, so if you take a look at this, we actually got out. I'll show you this. It was like we just nailed it. And I went through how to do this in the one video, like how to do this trade. But it's a real simple trade. So whenever you're on a conference call and the CFO speaks, your antenna goes up, your spidey sense goes up, because this is when the CEO is speaking and the CEO is going to tell you like all the cool stuff they can do. And then the CFO that's going to come out there and be the bad guy and tell you how they're going to pay for it all. And that's what happened here. And that was the high. So whenever CFO gets on a conference call, you always want to watch. The other time you always watch is when the questions start. So when the CFO speaks, you always want to watch the stock. And then when the questions come, you want to listen to the investment banks. And are they saying excellent quarter, great quarter, or are they asking questions? Because if they're saying great quarter, you know what they're going to do. It's like almost like an unspoken rule. They're telling you what they're going to do the next day. All right. But if we see this, we definitely want to pay attention to it. So my concern again would be, is that what we're going to get here? Now, my belief is, I think that's what's going to happen here. Yeah, I do think you're going to roll. I do think that that's what's coming here. But, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right now, I think you're going to open as close to flat as possible, on the open, as flat as possibly as you can get. And, with NVIDIA, you're going to want to watch these areas very, very closely. You're probably going to at least trade back to the gap fill here with NVIDIA. So I'd mark that off as well. It gets you that 863, 864 level. You're going to want to watch that as well and see how that goes. But I wouldn't put a ton of faith in any kind of bounce here today, at all. I'd be real cognizant of that. And then the other thing that you're going to have to deal with, in my opinion, is going to be, what do they do? Meaning, what do they do when the Fed speaks? And I think that's really the important issue here. If you look at the indexes in and of themselves, to look at that and say, oh, we're definitely going to bounce. That's not what a bounce looks like at all. That is just complete, utter rejection. And to me, I think that the Fed speech leaked, especially the way that they came out yesterday and made some statements. And you got right to the 22 and the 55 and you rejected. And you did the same thing here. So it's really hard to look at this and say, oh, yeah, we're definitely going to reverse today. So I would look at what you have here, and that's what I would go off of. I wouldn't change my opinion off of what's happening right now. And that's kind of how I would view the world. I wouldn't be in a position where I would be saying, oh, we're definitely going to, melt up and they're just going to shake this off. That's not how this is setting up at all. This is setting up to be as tight as, to me, they're setting you up to be as tight as possible into the open. And then from there, I think that they're going to put them in a position where they're going to roll them. That's what I think they're going to do. You never know, but that's how I view it this morning. So hopefully that's helpful. Give me 1 second here. And then I can start taking questions. higher than expected. At what did that come in at? What was that number? 192. 192, right? So you don't want ADP to come in higher than expected, because if ADP comes in higher than expected in this kind of market, you're probably going to see when JOLTs comes out at 10 o'clock. We should probably go through that and go from there. And Starbucks is an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, that we should probably go over that too, but that's just an outright like dumpster fire. And I mean, I don't know how any rally on that at all would be a godsend, but I don't know that you're going to get one. But that's really what you need there, some kind of rally to get involved. But I'm not really sure you're going to get anything. I did select that. Give me 1 second here, guys, and then we're ready to go. All right, good. And now I can take questions and go there. What's up, Bob? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Please hit the like button. Yeah, I think that is kind of, kind of crazy. We're going to ban more stuff because it worked so well the last time. I mean, I don't even know what they're thinking. I don't even have words for it. But, I really don't. I don't even have words for it anymore. It's absolutely crazy. But SRUUF, URA, like these names, I think they all could have a good day on that news, but it's absolutely crazy that this is what they're talking about doing. And I have no idea why they would even think of banning something else. And like, why wouldn't you, if it was that big of a deal, like, why wouldn't you ban it earlier? Like, why are you doing it now? It's just so silly. It really is. But it'll drive the price up. How much, remains to be seen. It definitely will drive the price up. There's no doubt about it. Garmin, you could pop here. I don't know how much this stuff's going to hold today, Jacob. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I have very little faith in this market holding. If I thought it was going to hold, I'd be looking at names like Wing and getting involved there. They had really good earnings, but to me, like, these kinds of names are breaking out. I'd be looking at a lot. There's a lot of names here I really want to buy, but I don't know that any of this is going to hold, like, at all. I'm just being blunt. I really don't think a lot of this is going to hold. So that's kind of where my head is with it. You're already like having a real struggle here going into the Fed, and you're seeing no buying. And you kind of have to look at the end of yesterday. I think the end of yesterday with the whole market's very telling. What happened. And that's kind of where my head is. So I'm going to be probably Debbie Downer on this one today. QRS Kava. Now, I actually bought Kava yesterday and just got out of the way. You got to watch stuff like this. Like, no, I get it. But when you have a rally like this, right, and then you have a bar like that, if you measure 50% on that bar, who's in charge? Buyers or sellers? Sellers. Okay. Like, why would I go near that? You know what I mean? Like, why would I fight the tape? And I think that's how you have to look at it right now. You're going to be fighting the tape today. I really do think you have to look at it that way, John. 3M, these kinds of names are interesting because this makes sense. Like anything that's like an XLP, I think that's where we're going. Because if you start looking at this stuff like VTV divided by VUG, right? If I take this and I throw it into a line and I make it a bear chart, like you'll start to see how that's shaping up and forming a bottom right down here. If I go into an hourly, you'll see it even clear, more clear. Any day now. So if we start to look at that, right, you'll start to see the turn from here over. So I think you're starting to set up here for this stuff to go a little higher. It's like the value names. So like 3M, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'd prefer that it wasn't going to work, but I think that kind of stuff's setting up to work. So something like this, I just need to just understand where I'm at. And I'm above everything there, but here's my larger issue. I like the sweep up is good, but here, let me show you this. I just need you to, man, they're playing with me today. They're testing me. I think this is an issue. That's my issue. I think there's other staple names out there that look pretty interesting, but this was a good quarter, and I do think you can get up there. I do. Bum, 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 bum. I mean, I don't know. How do you buy that? Like I couldn't touch that here. You have overhead resistance, and that 55 sure seems like a pickle, doesn't it? Do you ever have one of those mornings where you're just irritated by everything? Like, so irritated. Maybe it's because the coffee's cold. Maybe that's it. Good morning, Boomer. I think it's going to be worse. My thought was this. Here, let me show you where my head is with it, because I think this is really important, and I think people are going to get smoked today. And again, none of us really have any idea what's going to happen, right? But I'm gonna switch. You're gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna switch screens. Oh, look, it does that. It gives me the blank. It doesn't like just pop me up. That's way more appealing to me. Click the share. All right, so let me make sure that I'm on the right screen. Okay, I'm on the right screen. So this in front of you is CME Fed tool, right? So there's no chance that he's going to do anything today in May, right? Like he can't do anything in May. He's definitely not going to do anything in May. What's this? Oh, that's a rate hike, right? That's what you're dealing with now. Okay, this is May's meeting. That's a rate hike. Okay, we haven't had a rate hike on the screen. All right, so this is what we're dealing with now. I think it became very clear yesterday that, and I saw it live when we were trading live, that somewhere it leaked because we had really good data with Chicago PMI, and they took the Chicago PMI numbers that were really good and they sold. And that's a problem. So that's definitely something I'm watching. Now watch this. We're going to go into June. Oh, okay. So now we have a 9% chance of a cut in June and a 1% chance of a hike. See how they just slipped this like right back in the market? Like, oh, don't look over here. Look at this. These are not the droids that you're seeing. These are not the droids you're looking for. Isn't that the line? Then you got to July. Okay, well, July was definitely when we were getting the cut, right? And now there's only a 23% chance, if you add these together, that you're going to get a cut. All right, let's go look at September. Because by September, they're definitely going to cut, right? Okay, well, that's changed, and now it's not even a 50% chance of a cut in September. And then you go out to November. And you have to go all the way out to November, right before election, to even see 50% any more chance of a rate cut. All right, so I think that right now he's going to crush the markets. I mean, if I'm looking at this and how I'm leaning, I think that's how this is setting up. That's my opinion. Now, I think they're going to bid some stuff up today. They're going to whack it around like they always do. But, my sense of it, I would like nothing more than NVIDIA to be flat, because I have a lot of outsized calls on that. Like out of the money calls, like going out for a while. And I'd like nothing more than to get out of them and regroup until he's done speaking today. Because I think that this could be really ugly today if he says the way that I think he's leaning. Now, if he comes out, he's like, no, things are great. We're right on track. That's going to be different. But, I don't think that's where we're going. So I think it's really important for me to spend time on that today with you. so that you understand what's going on out there. No one's really talking about this. No one's really looking at this. People are looking at stuff like this and going, oh, I need to buy Root because Root's going higher, or I need to, what was the other one? TMDX. So I got to get involved in TMDX because they had good earnings. Like, none of this is going to work, right? Like, if he goes after risk assets today, which I think he's going to on this call, none of this will hold. It'll hold for like your short-term trading, but you're going to get a real sign of a direction today, and that's really my my thought on it. I mean, even the stuff that I didn't want to roll that was looking great is starting to roll, and that's really where my my head is right now. So my sense of this and looking at it is that we're kind of being set up a little bit here. Like, here's the NQ, right? You can see that yesterday. Like, we were trying, and then we just cracked. So, that's kind of where I'm at right now, man. I'm not really feeling this, any kind of rally whatsoever. It's been a long time since I've had short positions on, and I can watch them go against me, and I'm just like, I don't even care because I know I'm right. And that's a scary place to be. But when I start to say it, like, you can't unsay it, if you had better earnings, you might be looking at a different story this morning, but you didn't have better earnings. So, that's really where you're at. You missed revenue on the second fastest growing, like, this is the second fastest growing company in the NASDAQ, and it missed revenue. I don't care how else you want to say it. They pushed this up. They missed revenue, period. It's not nuanced. So we have to watch that stuff with Powell today. It depends. I have different volume settings across the board. The one I have here is RVol, and then someone already created it, and I was able to go in there and like change it to like certain settings that I wanted. But there's already one set up in that system in TradingView. Just look up RVol, and then I just took it and put what I wanted in there. Yeah, it will be huge. It'll be very important today. Now we're live. I sold them. I sold the weed stocks yesterday. Ask me how that went. Not very well. Apparently, I was the only one doing it. I think these things are outright shorts. I do. I think they're outright shorts. The issue with them is it doesn't really matter what I think. Now, what should have happened today is these should have gapped down. Like, these names like this should have gapped down, and it didn't. And the fact that it didn't gap down, like, it should have done one of two things. It should have moved violently. I should say it that way. You should have either gapped up to here and everyone's like, I got to get in. And then wham, they just matumba them. But you're just sitting there. So that leads me to believe, go find the one that has the highest short interest, right? I forget which one it is. I can pull it up later. Go find the one with the highest short interest and go in and go long that one, because that's the one to take a look at. I don't think I'd be getting involved with the ETFs. I really don't. I think that you should be on the sell side of those. I do think there could be more of a squeeze, but I shorted this yesterday around like 1080. I just closed it at the end of the day. It didn't work. Everyone seems real excited about this. They're making a big deal about it in the news. It's like a non-event. Like, if they came out like pot's legal, okay. But people are extrapolating a lot out of this. I'll show you how I have this thing set up. But people are extrapolating. Really, you're really getting on my nerves. There it is. So I've been watching this for a long time, just waiting. But people are extrapolating a lot out of this pot talk. Oh, he changed the schedule. Okay, this is real simple. It's a plan. Make it legal. I mean, that's kind of where I am on the issue. Like, if you're going to manipulate it, that's different. But like, it's a plan. What are you doing? That's really the end of the argument. And that's not what they did. We're going to change the schedule. Look, we're doing something. I mean, it's not like everyone gets this, right? They did it in an election year. Look at us. Look at us do things. We're hip. We're cool. but they didn't do anything. They changed the schedule. It's still on a schedule. So it's not like they can just go to the banks now. Like people were trying to explain this to me, and I don't want to get too into it, but that's what they need to be doing. They need to just legalize the thing federally, and that's the end of it. And there's no reason why they shouldn't just do that, but they won't make any money off of that. So they won't do that. But I would be looking for the ones with the largest, like the largest short interest. Something like this seems to have like a huge short interest. You can tell just by looking at it. And it's just a game of hot potato, right? I mean, that's all it is. It's hot potato. It's like, just don't be the last one, holding the potato when the music stops. Just make sure you're off the chair. But if I was in MSOX or MSOS, and this was the event that I was waiting for, and you think miraculously you're going to, new highs that have never been seen before, you're absolutely delusional. But I do think that there's probably more in it because you didn't move violently. You should have moved violently, and you're not doing that, meaning up or down. So that's my head. That's my little pot speech for the day. Amazon margins, 10% last quarter versus 7.8 last quarter. Yeah, I think Amazon's going to have some issues today. It's my personal opinion. We'll see if I'm right or wrong with it. It looks like they're going to try and trade it up in the morning, and maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe they do trade it up. That's my line. That's my demarcation line. We'll see if they get through it. Maybe they do get through it. Maybe it doesn't work. But to me, looking at this day and looking at what's going on out there, I'd be super, super careful thinking that this stuff is just going to miraculously lift for any reason whatsoever. I don't know who's going to be buying ahead of him, of the Fed. I just really don't. I think you're going to trade up in the morning to try and get that retail pop. But, I don't think we're going to see more than that. It's just my opinion, but we'll see. Previous was 5.3. If ISM comes in light, that'd be great, but I don't think it's there. I like Wing a lot. I don't think today's the day, but I do like it a lot. What's up, Steven? Yeah, I do think that can work, Steven. Hey, Paul, I'm in Miami. Welcome. First time texter, long time listener. CL, I'm assuming you're talking about Colgate. Yeah, I was looking at this. I was also looking at some of the other XLP names. I go through all the XLP names. There's some in there that look like they're just going to absolutely explode. But yeah, these are going to get stronger. You're going to see people start to buy these. Especially today, you're going to start seeing money flow into this sector pretty heavily. So absolutely, I'd be watching that and seeing how that's going to go. Going from there, let me clean this off and get into it, see what's going on here. So, but I just think you're going to bid them up, and that's going to be it. They're going to try and get them in right into the morning. That's what I think, anyway. But let's see how far they can push them up. But that will definitely help me and where my head is. The higher this stuff can go, the better, because then I can get more off. Right? But I don't believe for a moment that this is what we're going to do, but we'll see. Root apparently had really good numbers. I would personally think that unless you're seeing stuff like this today, Cam, where you're taking out these highs, it's got to be a game of hot potato. You got to get in, you got to get out, you got to get out of the way. It's really that simple. Yeah, I do think that they can move today, like the CCJs of the world, and no one was really predicting that this was coming. So yeah, I do. I think there could be a huge move there and that stuff. And that's how I would look at it. I wouldn't go past that, but that's kind of where my head is with it. I do think these kinds of names, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm sure that's institutions, right? That have to be in within 3 minutes before they open. So you guys got to start looking at the games out there and start really paying attention to them, because this can get really wild, guys, especially with what's going on out there, like really wild. So keep that in mind. All right. This can get really wild today. There's going to be a lot of games today, and people are going to realize, I think people are going to step into it, into Powell's speech. What's up, Luke? I think the chips have some issues here. What's up, buddy? Please don't be a penny stock. Please don't be a penny stock. No, you're not a penny stock. I know Steven's probably going to be foaming at the mouth. A new reactor stock, Steven. I don't know anything about it, buddy. I'm the wrong person to ask. I can tell you technically you have issues, but I can't do more than that with it. I mean, you see the higher highs, right, from here, the lower highs. Like, other than that, I'm not really adding a tremendous amount of value here. I guess what I would do is this. Like, let's say I was interested, how would I approach this? I'd want to look at fib levels. So I'd probably just mark from when we broke out, which is that bar, and look at the 50% line. Now, 50 is not a fib level, but it tells you like pretty clearly, like who's in charge, buyers or sellers, right? Like, it's just a real easy read, right? Like, you can just look at that and go, oh, buyers are in charge, and then go from there. Okay. Sellers are in charge, and kind of go from there. Okay. So I think stuff like that, yeah, you're going to have to look at, and you're going to have to make some decisions. Like, do I want to get involved there? Do I not want to get involved there? That's kind of where my head is with it by looking at it. Give me 1 second. And we'll go from there. Okay, give me a second here. All right, so we're gonna have to do that there. Give me 1 second here, guys. I'm gonna try and get more of this Amazon off in a minute here. All right, so if we take a look at some of these other names that are out there and how this is going, I don't want to go down there. Let me stick with this for a second because I'm watching what they're doing here and I want to go through this. So get up there. All right. So I would look at the fib levels this way. I'm looking at Amazon. I'm trying to short more of it, candidly, while we're talking. If I was to look at this, that's how I would view it. And I'd want to look at those levels and see if there's anything to it. Now I have these reversed here, which is probably freaking people out. Let me fix them. So there's the zero line, there's your one. But you reverse them if you want to look at like where you would drop, right? That's kind of how you do it. And then instead of doing extensions, you're doing retractions. It doesn't matter. Anyway, that's how I would view it. I mean, you're holding 38.2. You can't get over 5. I mean, I don't know, man. It's not something I play with. But that's how I would pursue it. That's how I would look at it. Hope that's helpful. What's up, Steve? Yeah, I used to have one, and I've been traveling a lot. I had one, but I've been traveling a lot. It's funny how fast time goes. I started traveling during the pandemic. I think it was really 21 when I came to Miami. And I didn't even start in Miami. I started like in other cities in Florida, and just wound up here, traveling for like 2 years through Florida. But which is, it's very nice. But and then just back around. So I didn't really want that because I have a setup at another location. But the more time I spend in Miami, now that I'm in this place, which is fairly semi-permanent, we'll call it, I'm probably going to just get one because I would be very advantageous at this point. But this thing was like that. I mean, this was not like a cheap Apple, like at all. But I do run a lot of computing power. So I'm not to do it, I think. Oh, you can't. All right, we're not bonding when we do this. Hold on, let's bond. A couple of days ago, you talked about computers making a decision in the morning and watching the 1 minute candle switching, and that's an entry. I didn't understand. Okay, let's get you to understand. So we had some data come out, right? And that data came out at 8:15. Here's the low of that data, the ADP data, right? Here's the high of that data. See it? So what did it do? Test, retest, rejection, broke out of it, and that was it, right? That's fantastic. All right, so let's go here, and let's drop this to a 1 minute. There's the 8:15 bar. Okay, so the news hits, ADP news hits. You reverse, you break through it, test, retest, bonk, and then it rips, right? Okay, see it? That's what you want to pay attention to. That's the stuff you want to pay attention to. All right. That's really how I view it. Okay. You need to watch what the algorithm's doing. Now it's very clear. You'll see it again today at 2 o'clock. You'll get a bar. You'll get a bar at 2 o'clock today when the Fed does nothing. Okay. When the Fed does nothing, you'll get a bar. And you can go from there. But you want to pay attention to that for sure. And then 2:30, sometimes you get one too. Like when Itchy says something and it's meaningful, that's when you'll say it. So I can do a whole class on it, Mike. I'm going to do questions. I'm going to take questions. I'm going to take questions from the audience. I am going to do this. I can't. I'm hooked into Apple, but I got to do it. What's up, Mike? I think Apple's got some real issues here. You have Buffett quietly selling stock, and people are like, he's doing it for taxes. I'm like, oh, okay. Like the article by Forbes was hysterical. Apple's got some real issues here, like real issues. Like it's not the cool thing anymore. It's kind of like the overlord now. And I don't think people are a huge fan of it anymore. A matter of fact, the best hedge funds right now are doing exceptionally well by underweighting Apple. So most hedge funds always have like a position in Apple because it's so tied to the S&P and they want the levered. But the best hedge fund performance right now is underweighting Apple. That's not where you want to be because you and I can't move Apple, right? And then when you watch this, like watch this. Here's the 55. Bonk, bonk, bonk. I mean, I don't know, maybe short the 55. I don't know. But, maybe short the 55 when it's declining. Just an idea. But I think this is how you have to view it, man. And I'd be real careful there. Real careful. Oh, yeah. I killed it last night in this trade. Yeah. I can't wait to short this. I hate them. They ruined coffee. Them and their frappuccinos. I can't stand them. Let me tell you how I feel. Anyway, did you ever see The Sopranos when he steals the espresso maker? Anyway, he goes to the Starbucks and steals the espresso maker. Before I go on one of my tangents, it's been a long trading day. I'm punchy. I've already been trading a lot, and then last night I was trading a lot, like into the wee hours. But Starbucks, yeah, like full year guidance, they're hit. It's definitely an issue. They're hit. Like they have real problems. You know, you can tell that they have problems when you try to go into a store and you can't get service because they're making the mobile orders. And like the ones in Miami, I literally will walk out of. Like even if I want a cup of coffee, I'll walk out of them because they're too busy making mobile orders versus taking my order. It's like it's so frustrating. And I know people like that. They like to go get their 1,000-calorie frappuccino to start their day and have yum yums. But after a while, the culture will change and people will change with it. It's just the way that it goes. And it's not feasible. You can't pay the wages that they're being forced to pay in some of these places and think it's going to work. And the other problem that they're going to run into is that, people are getting way more health conscious after COVID. This stuff always ebbs and flows. So they sell a cup of coffee versus selling like a frappuccino or something like that. And I make jokes, but it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. So on their bottom line, and I think that's what you're saying. They need healthier options. But yeah, I think it's an outright short. Rolls-Royce has. I used to watch them. Here, I looked at this at $3. I should have done it. I was too busy with Ferrari. But this seemed like a no-brainer at $3. I don't know why I didn't do it. I was too busy here. But I don't know if I touch that now. CJC, yeah. I do think that can be the one that could, if it keeps going. Yeah, it makes life very easy. I think it is. I think Starbucks is going much lower. Like if you're you have to think about it from a institutional standpoint, right? Like if you're an institution and you're looking at this, you have a stock. Like my hope is that it trades up so that I can short it. But you have to look at this and go, year end, they just lowered guidance. Like when these companies, when like these low beta names lower guidance, right? And you see this stuff like here, let me show you. Let's check the time. Like when they cut guidance, that's it. They're done. Like when you cut guidance here, like sure, you can trade around, you might trade up, you might trade down, but institutions are just going to get out of the chart. They're just going to get out. Like you might not make a killing if you're trying to make that killing, like off that big move, right? But once they cut guidance, they're done. It's over. Like, oh, we're going to cut guidance. Like nobody wants the company anymore. Like, because you're dealing with like these big funds that own these names. They're just like, okay, well, you missed. We can't own you anymore. And so that's like Starbucks in a nutshell. That's what happened to Disney, right? And like even Disney now, like you're breaking that 55. Like this is just an outright short here. And you kind of have to look at it that like people are going to look at it however they want to look at it, but that's how I look at it. It's just an outright short. So, but yeah, I think there's plenty of room if you have time. MSTR thoughts. So my thoughts on MSTR are simple. I've said I really like him. I've said it's overvalued for a long period of time. The best way that I have found to short this is here. I'll show you. Kind of turning into some lessons, but see how the volume, this is a 50, it's on a 55. We see how the volumes here, see when the volume starts sloping, right? Now that might actually be exhaustive volume here. You might get exhaustive volume pretty soon on this. I have had a short position in it. I tried to do puts yesterday that it's way too wide. At one point I actually went long it, because I saw a potential bounce, and it was nasty what happened. So like here, I saw this, and then I tried to get in right here. And as soon as I tried, like literally bought this bar, I couldn't even get out of, I got out of like a little bit at a profit, right? And then that was like it. They gave me the 15-point spread. Like they gave me everything. It was like getting a hot dog with everything on it, right? Like they gave me the 15-point spread, the gap down. Like I'm like, okay, I'm out. I'm done. So you definitely have pressure. What I've been doing and doing well with is I shorted this, which has a decent portion of that in it. And this is working exceptionally well. And I can sleep at night. I'm not worried about it. I do have short positions in coin too. And you know, we have puts in the room. I think the 210s, I have the 210s, the 205s at this point. I'm short stock, but I think they're all hosed. You know, you got the like you broke, then you got the test, the retest, the bear flag, and then the break. It's actually a pendant. So I think they're all toast. But the easy trade, like the really easy trade, has just been, you know, shorting this and just having the patience to stay with it. I think that this thing can get at least to 25, 26. I think that's a much simpler and easier trade for everybody to digest, you know, and not age 10 years and 30 seconds playing with this. But, you know, I don't know. I'll keep shorting it. I'll whack it around. I'm not going to lie. Like I thought you might gap fill and then roll. Like I was trying to get cute yesterday. It did not work. Where's Lisa going? Lisa's going somewhere? Where's she going? Is she going somewhere cool? I missed it. I don't know. She says she's going somewhere. Yeah, CJC is interesting. They'll drop it with a risk asset, but they'll drop less. They'll drop less. Argentinian names will drop less. I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. We're going to start cutting this off at 9, guys. I thought Google had a great call. Boeing's has a lot of problems here. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Johnson & Johnson's definitely teetering. But I'm wondering, does it become a value play? Right? Does that become a value play now? They did. I was on the wrong side of that. Thankfully, the people in the room were on the right side of it. But we had one person that built a huge position in MSOX over time. They just kept picking at it and did exceptionally well. But I think it's over. Like I do. I don't think it's what people think it is. That's just my opinion. What's up, Dan? Bro, you got to be laughing at the camera. Like, really? MMM's not really my kind of name, man. It's not really my kind of trade. Let me get through these. Netflix, I wouldn't go near. Junior, you got to come down, Junior. You're getting goofy there. You're definitely going the 5. What they're trying to do is they're trying to say that we're not going to sell assets, which is going to hurt the market, which is just silly. They're just trying to leak information to get you in. Because you have the government saying we're going to ban something else because that works so well. Yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're trying to buy votes. But, you know, it's funny because like the younger generation, like my son's in his early 20s now, and they even get it. Like they know, like, oh, we're not voting for him. He's just trying to buy votes. ACB has the highest short interest. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You gotta, I mean, how are you gonna lock people up if you make it legal? I'm not touching this. They're closed today? Thank you. Oh, he'll sign it because he's gonna be tough on Russia and Putin. What's up, Matt? Yes. PG looks good. Terry. What's up, Andres? Yeah, I'm going to do questions one day. I'm going to do a Q&A. When I hit 25,000 subscribers, I'm going to do Q&A out there. Put them out there, and then I'll answer the questions. I'll just do it. I'll do it. I don't know if I'm going to do it live. I thought about doing a webinar, dude, but I get asked to go on podcasts all the time. Honestly, I think people should be able to get it by me doing these pre-market lives for free and then the post-market. They don't sell the cars. That's not the car maker. Is that not the car maker? Am I learning something? Is eTour teaching me something besides busting stones? That's not the car maker? I didn't know there were divisions of Rolls-Royce. I thought Rolls-Royce was Rolls-Royce. I'm going to have to call nonsense on that, eTour. I think you're playing with me. Beyond can have all the mode at once. Stop it. Stop. Just stop it. Stop it with that. I mean, if the American Heart Association came out and did anything with that burger, it stopped listening to the American Heart Association. Matter of fact, stop listening to any of them. I do, but you don't want to play that game, man. You don't. Yeah, I'm not eating that. Like, for God's sake, man, just go get a steak. POTUS will sign that bill. He will sign that bill. I got to jump, guys. Trade to win today. And remember, you're gonna have massive volatility today. Massive.